Yup, it's Puppet War. If you're old enough with a mobile device around that date, you may remember playing this game about a janitor killing puppets, and honestly, it's one of the most underrated mobile games ever, which you can't play now. In this video, I will be doing a retrospective on Puppet War, so here I go talking about a very obscure mobile game that was also featured by Apple in the noteworthy FPS games category. As said in the beginning, Puppet War was released on June 10th, 2010 by Twindigo, the creators of the game. Upon opening the app, you are greeted with the Unity logo and then the press start menu. After pressing it, you would be taken to the main menu where a puppet named Fendi tilts his head left and right with a mad expression and has a gun on his hand. A little update I'll be talking about sooner that adds a new episode removes the gun and makes him look more mad. Anyways, when you press new game and select the difficulty, the intro would play, explaining that the Friendly Puppet Show has been the #1 kids show on television, but it wasn't enough for the puppets, so they decided to take over the world. However, one man was able to stand between the puppets and world domination, and it was none other than the janitor. After the intro, you would start the game by playing a map called Friendly Puppet Set. The gameplay is simple. Your goal is to kill a certain number of puppets with your mop and later gun that you can switch between. When you kill a puppet, it drops a star that converts to money and also has a chance to drop ammo and health. If you die, the puppets would laugh at your dead body. That's creepy. After being a level, you would unlock a new weapon and perk that you could buy and upgrade. Now let's talk about the puppets. These are the main enemies of the game that attack you by biting, throwing, or shooting. Friendly is a basic puppet who bites you when it gets close. Jumping Joy is a small puppet that jumps rapidly, making it hard to shoot at. Fishy Nose is a pirate puppet who was previously green that throws fish at you. Cuckoo Bob is a blue puppet that explodes near you or on death, which can also hurt other puppets. Chico is a purple puppet that throws chicken at you. And Tiny is a red boxer puppet who's the opposite of his name. Now, not all the puppets I listed will appear in the first level immediately. Instead, they appear at higher levels, so you wouldn't have to fight Tiny in the first level with just the mop. In a nutshell, it looked like a simple survival game where you kill puppets, and as each level progressed, there would be different and harder variants to fight. This only got better, however, when update 1.1 came. This update added a new map alongside night variants for both maps, new puppets, survival mode, and the leaderboard. Instead of playing in Friendly Puppet Set over and over again, you can now play it at night once you've reached level 5. And the new puppet that only appears in night stages is the zombie puppet, which takes more hits to kill at times. There's also a giant variant for it with more health. After reaching level 10, you would be taken to a new map called Puppet Town, which features the Ninja Puppet and Recycle Joe. The former would be invisible except for his shadow until it attacks you, while the latter would shoot tomatoes from a recycle bin at you. After reaching level 15, you would play Puppet Town again but at night. Then after beating level 20, beating a level now switches you to the next map while still giving you new weapons and perks. Now for survival mode. It's what you thought it would be. Surviving puppets in the map you picked until you died. There's also a zombie mode for it unlocked at level 30 that adds fog. Not much to say about it. On August 19th, a linked version of the game was released that featured a new boss called Fluffy, who you would fight once you reach level 20. What he does is throw color bombs at you and charge at you, which you can't avoid. Jumping Joys would spawn during the boss fight as well. Fluffy was later added to the main game. On November 25th, the Facebook page would tease a few new weapons, such as a flamethrower and a laser gun. This was obviously for an upcoming major update I already mentioned at the beginning of the video. Afterward, a Christmas edition was released on December 14th, which featured a Christmas variant of Friendly Puppet Set with a Santa Friendly that threw snowballs. The Christmas map was later added to the main game that's unlocked once you've reached level 20. A few months later, the Facebook page would tease more weapons and a new map centered on the studio's lobby. Over time, more teasers were released such as the studio corridors map, a new clown boss, and new puppets like the vampire puppet. All of this would lead up to the episode 2 update, which was released on August 20, 2011, a year and 2 months after Puppet War's release, and it was a blast. The intro explains that the puppets have taken over the studio with even more tomatoes equipped, and they are on the verge of taking over the world. The janitor still needs to save humanity and still be an employee of the month, but to fulfill his destiny, he would have to face his worst nightmare, the clown. The first map you play is Studio Corridor, which features Magic Kid, a wizard puppet that changes size and teleports. It also features vending machines that give you money, health, or ammo when you damage them. After that, you go to the night stage, which features the vampire puppet, who is immune to bullets except in bat form. The next map is Studio Lobby. This is where Soldier Joe first appears, and it's basically just Recycle Joe, but now it can move around. There's also a helmet variant with more health. Anyways, remember those vending machines from the last map? Well, if you damage one while close to it on this map, it teleports you to a ledge and makes the puppets completely ignore you for a limited time. This only has a chance to occur, however. Now for the night stage. Nah, I'm just kidding, you fight Fluffy again, but now he has a blue twin brother in Soldier Joe's spawn. After that's done, you can finally get to the night stage, which doesn't introduce anything new, so let's move on to the final map before you fight the clown, which is Studio Parking. It features Racing Pit, who's like Cuckoo Bob but on a race car. The vending machine this time teleports you to that closed room with blurred windows. The windows are see-through inside the room, so you can shoot puppets from here, if you have a sniper at least. After being level 24, you finally fight the clown named Smiley, and he's more complex than Fluffy. He breathes fire out of his mouth, throws presents that are delay bombs, uses an umbrella for protection, and takes the elevators. Magic Kid spawned during the fight. I can see why he's the janitor's worst nightmare. So, after defeating that boss, you may think this is the end of the game, but no, it isn't. Well, technically there is no ending to the game. Instead, you have to beat 25 more levels to get to the final boss, Double Fluffy, Double Smiley. It's what you expected, with Soldier Joe's being spawned in. For some reason, they didn't bother to recolor the extra Smiley. And that was Puppet War, one of the most underrated mobile games that you can't play now. Overall, it's a good shooting game about killing puppets with cartoonish visuals and sound effects. The only problems I have are the lack of unique animations for a few puppets like the giant zombie puppet, gameplay getting somewhat repetitive over time, and no new soundtracks after the 1.1 update. The last one is probably because of the limitations of a mobile game at the time though. It feels like one of those mobile games released in 2010 that should have been successful, which leads to a big question I have about it. So, why did Puppet War fail despite being very good for early 2010s mobile game standards? Well, I'm guessing it had to do with the lack of marketing for it. When I was young during the early 2010s, I never came across an ad for Puppet War while playing mobile games such as Angry Birds or Fruit Ninja. The only way I found out about its existence was because of my brother trying to find a game about a ninja puppet, which had nothing to do with Puppet War to clarify. The game was called Puppet War HD, which leads to another minor reason I'm gonna talk about right now, payability. I didn't know what to fit this in the video, but when Puppet War first came out, you had to buy it to play it, which makes sense since how would the devs earn money besides in-game money that you could buy? Sometimes, however, Puppet War would be free to download, but only for a limited time on specific dates such as Halloween. On December 14, 2011, an HD version of Puppet War was released, but it's unfortunately lost media now. Even the iPad I have that has Puppet War HD is impossible to recharge, so I can't extract the app from it. On September 13, 2012, episodes 1 and 2 were released on Android, with episode 1 being free. Kinda strange that they didn't make it a single app like the Apple version. 3 months later, the Puppet War Facebook account made a final post wishing a Merry Christmas to everyone, and the account went silent. Until it came back 3 years later to promote Twindigo's new game Bike Dash, which I haven't played but looks decent. After that, however, Twindigo and Puppet War were completely dead in the water. No new posters, no new updates. All of Twindigo's games were silently removed, and then there was nothing. I would like to say thanks to Elrig for the video about how to configure controls for Puppet War in Bluestacks. The only problem is that the invisible cursor in aim, pan, and zoom mode keeps clicking whenever I move the mouse, so I had to make the y-axis 0 to prevent this. If you don't know, this means I can't go up and down now. Also, I made a Puppet War wiki for anyone who wants to add info about the stats, maps, and puppets of the game. Anyways, goodbye.